Apply the wipes." The sound of ripping paper followed, and after this a silence as 52 female centenarians applied the pheromone to their aged, wrinkled necks and to their sun-spotted hands. Ferret reached the back of the bus just as one of Kanji's sumos kicked the door of the bus in. It caved in with the crash of splintering glass. A ripple of shock ran through the bus, at least through those who had turned up their hearing aids. On stepped Kanji and his 2 big hitmen. Kanji smiled evilly at Ferret. He slowly and theatrically slid the katana from its sheath. Down the long line of the bus he pointed the sword directly at Ferret, moving gracefully towards him as he did so. The bus was deathly silent. He and his companions were at the centre point now, slowly homing in on their prey, when the last of the advancing trio, a thug of 6'4" with no neck and a face like an overinflated football, suddenly noticed one of the women smile at him. There was a glimpse of denture there that he found utterly irresistible. He faltered for a moment. At the same time, his doppelganger, henchman number 2, became distracted by a glimpse of unshaven leg. The 2 men stopped. Kanji noticed the unscheduled behaviour and turned momentarily to find its cause. At that precise moment, henchman number 2, unable to restrain his unbridled lust, dived upon the elderly woman and ran his hand all the way up her floppy legs until he found her floppy vagina. He pushed his whole fist in there, and the old lady's dark eyes widened. Whether with shock or pleasure or both, it was impossible to tell. This ruckus was followed by another, as henchman number 1 ripped the dentures out of the mouth of his centenarian, pulled out his cock, and began shafting her gums with gusto. "What are you—" yelled the bewildered Kanji. It was no use. His henchmen were mad, raging volcanoes of passion. As he tried to pull them back, he was knocked sideways and into the lap of an extremely attractive woman who was no more than 105. He breathed in deeply the alluring scent of stale urine. With one deft flick of his katana, he cut away her witch's breeches, and he was upper. He thumped away like old puffing Billy. The woman screamed. Some of the able-bodied women tried to help, but they too became victims of the sex-crazed loon who kissed all that was presented before him and thrust his penis at every passing orifice. Elderly women swooned and fell from wheelchairs. Cripples took up arms and hit Kanji and his accomplices about the head with walking frames. Some arms and legs flailed in uncontained rage, others in libidinous excess. Wild screams of pain, pleasure, and panic rent the air. To add to the confusion, Yoshika, who had stayed on the bus, was down the front savagely fisting a buck-toothed woman whose thick glasses had fogged up with pleasure and exertion. Other women hit him and tried to get him off her, but the woman kept pushing them away, saying, "Reef him! Reef him! Oh, it has been so wrong!" While the writhing bodies heaped up in an ungainly mountain of erupting lust and violence, Ferret pushed out the rear window of the bus and, together with Bernard and Horatio, disappeared into the airport. A crowd had gathered around the bus, but no one was game to enter the dangerous arena. Instead, all watched on in astonished silence as the macabre spectacle played out like some hallucinogenic puppet show. Every so often an object would appear above the window-sill. Here a 100-year-old arsehole, there an arm with a cane crashing down upon something or someone out of eyesight. And occasionally a man's face, beetroot red with exertion, would pop up and out of frame. The final shot, before the puppet show ended, was a close-up of Kanji, his mouth filled with grey pubic hair, his head bloodied and battered, slowly falling beneath a sea of abuse and thumping walking sticks. Finally, silence consumed the bus. The crowd buzzed with confusion, and the sound of police sirens grew. Ferret turned over the pheromone packet in search of information. He read intently for a minute. Eventually he stammered, "I don't fucking believe it." He looked up at the departures list. "There's a plane leaving for Sydney in 45 minutes, he said, "and we're going to be on it."